So we're starting with taking aim, how to hit the mark. I'm starting this with aims because without a good aim, everything really has far less chance of succeeding. Good aims make for good lessons. And an experienced teacher will usually start in their mind with the aim of the lesson and then work backwards. So they're absolutely key. Why are they important? They allow for the balance in the lesson. Imagine that the aim is your destination. It's the purpose of the lesson. It's where you're going. The staging is the road, the route to, and the aim is the destination. Once you've got a clear destination, everything falls into place. Everything's balanced. It's a bit like if you know your destination is just a place for a rucksack, that's all you pack. You don't need to pack a suitcase. So that destination allows you to create activities that meet the main aim. It's efficient. A good aim gives you efficient use of time. You're not getting drawn off on erroneous, maybe fun, but erroneous activities. It's much easier to manage a well-aimed lesson. Students can anticipate the expectation of you. They know what's required. They know where things are going. They can follow the flow of the lesson. So they trust you more. They trust the teacher. They're not sitting there waiting, thinking, not sure if I've got this right. Don't know why we're doing this. This doesn't make sense. So the aim also does many other things. It means that you work with different types of students, you use materials effectively, and you get higher learner satisfaction with good aims. Okay, so hit the pause button and have a think. What do you consider makes a good main aim? Okay, a main aim. What are the components on a lesson plan of a good main aim? Okay. They're learner-centred. Often they'll start with the words SWBAT. SWBAT. By the end of the lesson, students will be able to. Okay, so look at the lesson, the main aim from the student's point of view. They are specific and measurable. So it's very detailed as to what the students will achieve by the end of the lesson. Remember, the end goal is the main aim. It's linked to language systems. It will include language and or skills, reading, writing, speaking, listening. They are incorporated into the main aim. Appropriate to learner level. Not always as easy with mixed level classes, but somewhere the pitch is about appropriate. Achievable in the time given. That sounds really obvious, but in fact, many of the plans that I receive, they would take about 3 months of intensive training on the topic to meet the goal. However, it needs to be recognised that especially for novice and new teachers, they find it really difficult to estimate how long activities will take. So have some scope there. And even very experienced teachers get caught sometimes. It's not always possible to predict how long things will take. Things happen in the classroom. We think that this will take 10 minutes and then suddenly, we've shot through in 5, or the students you've hit a stumbling block you hadn't anticipated, and it takes 15 minutes. So achievable in the time given, but with caution. Okay, so this time, what do you think a stage aim should tell the reader? What should be in a stage aim? What's the stage aim about? So let me be clear. First of all, I think that every activity that you do with the students should have its own stage aim. And in fact, everything you do should have a stage aim. You should know and be able to state at any point in the lesson why you're doing what you're doing and what the purpose of it is. So, so it must be very clear and specific. It should be linked to the main aim. And that sounds strange, but in fact, often teachers insert activities to their aim, maybe to change the pace or because the students like it. And it's fun and it's always worked in the past. Check that the aims linguistically meet the main aim. If they don't, you may want to take the activity out. It's focused on the learners. Students will be able to, students will. It reflects the type of stage. Is this a reading section? Is it, speaking? Is it measurable? So is it clear to you and the student when they have achieved it? Yeah. So, for example, the difference between talk about the weather or find 3 things about the weather that you agree with. So one is measurable and the other is not. Okay. So hit the pause button, download and complete the AIMS task worksheet to test your ability to identify good main and stage aims. This is an important practice, so we'll talk through it in the next slide. So I'm sure you're like all my students and you've been teacher's pet and you've completed your homework completely, and my commentary is hardly needed. Yeah, right. Okay, so students will learn about the present perfect way too vague. I mean, there are so many elements to the present perfect, and are we talking about the grammar of the present perfect, the pronunciation, the meaning, and what will they do with it? What are they going, where are they going to see it? Is it coming in on a listening? Is the teacher going to stand at the board? So, no. Students will develop so I quite like this, but I see this more as a stage aim. I'm not sure that I would want to spend a main whole lesson doing just scanning skills. So good stage aim, but probably not appropriate for a main aim. Yeah. A note of warning about the word understand. It's really difficult to measure this. What's the test? How will you know that students have understood it? So again, way too vague. I want to know what they're going to do with the language. Teach vocabulary. As you can imagine, way too vague. What vocabulary? What are they going to do with it? Where's this vocabulary going to come from? So are you going to present it yourself or will it be embedded in a reading or listening text? So not good as a main aim at all. I like this, obviously. Clear grammar focus, we know what the language is, we know what they're going to do with it. So we know the context, we know the task. Brilliant. To improve students' English, I've actually had this and the trainee teacher defended it as an aim, and I get it. Yes, arguably and hopefully we all try to do this in our lessons, but of course it's too vague. What language, what skill, what's it all for? Okay. Identify and use. Yeah, I think identify and use. Yeah, I think this works. This can be a main aim. It's probably a little bit more related to a stage aim, but I'll accept it. It's not as strong as it could be. I think it needs to be cleared in order when ordering in a restaurant, and I'd put on the end of that possibly role play. Okay. So doing a speaking activity, yes, you're absolutely right. Interestingly, this is a what, not a why. So a lot of teachers confuse what and why. Okay. Perfect. We like that one. Very clear. And we like this one as well. Oh, we didn't do it all. Clear. We've got the language and we've got the production task. We like that. So main aims, they definitely need to include language, context, what you're going to do with it. So what's the lesson for? Why? What's the destination of your lesson? Okay, stage aims. I'm sure you've got this cracked by now. To do an activity, That's a what, not a why. So think about to do an activity in order to what. If you can put in order to on the end of it, then you probably haven't got an aim worked out. Yeah, perfect. Nice. Practice. That's obvious. Practice what? If it's a controlled practice, is it controlled practice that tests meaning, form? Are we transforming the verbs, or is it perhaps pronunciation? Be very clear what you are practicing in your stage aim. There we are. Nice. That was what I was meaning. Okay. Students will listen. You hope. In my experience, it's not always that easy. But what are they listening to and for, and why are they listening? What are they listening to do? Are they practicing recognition of vocabulary or testing their understanding of the global comprehension of the text? They will listen is not like they will come. No. Okay, build it and they will come. I like this. It's good. Oh, now this is a very interesting one. We see the word explain on many new teachers' lesson plans. Not good. So it suggests that the teacher's standing at the front, and so I would change the word explain to exemplify, demonstrate, test understanding of, but to explain does suggest the teacher's going to stand up there and go blah, 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 blah. End of story. Be very wary of the word explain or tell the rules. Doesn't work. Okay, good stage aim. We're checking meaning. We know why we're doing it. Lovely. To teach the grammar, I've also had this. It goes without saying, it's way too vague. The grammar of what? And what does to teach mean? Yeah. So if we're looking at student-centered practice, we want to sort of test, exemplify, but not, the word teach in itself is quite loaded. Okay, we like that one. So in both stage and main aims, we're looking for clarity. Is it clear that the person knows why they're doing what they're doing? So the stage aims are sort of the route and the main aim is the destination. A few years ago, a friend of mine designed what he called the AIM-LP lesson framework. And he was trying to apply a set of aims that can be applied to any stage of any lesson. And he called it AIM-LP, which means activate, input, reading or listening, meaning and language, plus production. So he argued, and I agree with him, that at any point in the lesson you're doing one of these things. And so he's provided aims for that thing. So A is activation. This can be the beginning of the lesson when we're setting the context, letting the students know what it's going to be about, raising their interest in the topic, finding out what they already know. Input text is reading or listening. So we are putting language into students. M is the meaning language. So language could be vocabulary, it can be grammar, it can be functions. Production is producing language, productive skills, speaking or writing. So you'll hit the pause button, you'll find a worksheet. See if you can write the aim for each stage of the AIM-LP lesson framework and then look at the answers. And what you will end up with is a crib sheet that will give you good aims for stage aims. Will give you good stage aims for any point in a lesson. It'll also give you a very good procedure for dealing with listening or dealing with production. A very safe procedure that is easy to follow. I should say that the AIM-LP worksheet or the framework is mobile. So you may go from activate to production. You may go from language to production. You may go from production to language, depending on the lesson that you want to teach. However, the components within each, although mobile, the aims can stay the same. Okay. So, train the trainer. Decoding the lesson plan. The first place I look is the aims. I look at the main aim. If the main aim is weak, it's usually pretty follows that the rest is very weak as well. Even if the teacher's got very good stage aims and procedure, if they don't know what the aim and where it's all going for, the lesson will waste time, it'll be inefficient, it'll feel a bit floppy. Many teachers confuse activity and aim, especially when they're starting out. They see the aims box on the lesson plan and think, what do I do? So they put in the what rather than the why. So if you can't preface it with, I'm doing this in order to, then it's probably a stage rather than a name. We found that even very, very experienced teachers struggle to identify aims. There's quite a lot of reasons. If you work from a course book or other people's materials, quite often the aims they may be in the course book, but we tend not to look at them. We just sort of go through the activities. So there's a lack of practice for stating aims. Get in the habit of thinking, why am I doing this? What's this for? A lot of teachers fill in the aims box with almost anything really. If you're checking a lesson plan, check that the aim actually matches the stage. You'll be surprised how often they don't. The teachers have felt this compulsion to complete the box, fair enough, but it doesn't actually relate to what they're doing. Okay. Developmental tasks. Use the worksheets from this. Also, later in the course, we do a section on lesson planning and you'll get a completed lesson plan. Take that, cut it up, get teachers to put it in order, take off the aims, get teachers to write the aims, anything really that gives practice. Another good idea is to cut up lots of activities from different books, put them onto one handout and get teachers to decide the aims for each task. Cut up tasks, that's what I meant. Definitely get people working collaboratively. There's a lot of discussion around aims. Get in the habit. So if a teacher comes up to me and asks me, what do I think of this task? My first question is always, what's the aim? Or, why do you need it? What are you trying to achieve? When you ask that question, it filters immediately. It filters out a lot of things. So get in the habit of asking, what's the aim of this? Why am I doing it? Ask the learners at the end of the lesson. We don't do this enough. What did you learn in this lesson? You can even be quite explicit. What do you think this lesson was about? If they are not clear, then there's a very good chance that the lesson wasn't clear, that the aim wasn't clear. Okay, so aims underpin the entire lesson. They are the starting point. If you're not sure how to sort of formulate a main aim, another trick is to go to the back of the lesson and think, what will they do at the end? What's the purpose of that? If you can define that, that's often the main aim. Aims, good and bad, affect management, pace and engagement. Poor aims often lead to sticky pace and basically students off task. Poor aims, poor plans, poor plans, poor aims. Aims are really important.